Hi, I'm YJ. Welcome to the channel. I'm a designer and an entrepreneur, and over the last 10 years, my web design and product development business has launched two separate products. One is called Float, and the other one's called Public. We've also been hiring and bringing on interns over the last few years, and something I've been asked about frequently is what college students can do to get jobs and internships in startups, in the tech sector, in doing design work, etc. Most of you have come across job or internship opportunities where they require you to have a higher level of experiences and skills, which seems confusing because you're just starting your internship search or your job search. I'm going to go through several examples in detail for you to be able to get that first internship so then eventually you could get that dream job. You might be early on in your college career. You could even be a high schooler. You can also be a recent graduate. No matter where you are in that process, it's not helpful to compare yourself to just your peer group or those ahead of you. You're running your own race, so I encourage you to not worry about anyone else. Write down these steps and create a plan. If you have any questions, ask, and I'll do my best to clarify. My email's in the link, and you can comment below. All colleges, universities, mentors are going to tell you to put together a resume. I have another video where I address the specifics of a resume. But something that's important after having put a good resume together is for you to have an honest friend critique your resume. You need to have people in your circle who critique your work honestly or who critique your work very harshly. You have friends who are always encouraging, helpful, positive, and that's absolutely useful. But in this case, when you are taking a representation of who you are, your resume, and sharing it with a stranger, they're not necessarily going to look through your materials and cut you a break like your friends might. Find an honest friend or even a negative friend, the type who always finds something bad in what should be good. Find that person and ask them to assess your resume. They themselves might have the same level of experience you have, but they could give you a perspective that you don't have as somebody who's tunnel vision into your own work. If you only have friends who are positive, kind, helpful in a lot of ways, then you have to ask them pointedly, specifically, what is the worst part about this resume? What should I improve? What can I fix? That will narrow their task and you'll get much more information that's useful to you than somebody who just says, oh, this resume looks good. You'll do fine. You'll do great. Don't worry. You don't want that person assessing your resume if you can help it. Sometimes formatting messes things up. So export your resume in a PDF format whenever possible and share that format. Include links in your resume when they point to projects that are impressive. You don't have to link everything in your resume, but that can help recruiters, companies, and managers find the good pieces of your background. If you have a lot of great content to share, but you can't fit it all within one page, you can create a personal website and link to that, and that will allow you to include everything that's positive about you. If you want a personal website at a manageable cost, go to publicdesign.com and you can set yourself up with a website right now. One thing that's important about personal websites is you want your name and your URL to rise to the top when someone is searching for you. That takes some time for the search engines to push up. So if you want to present your materials and make it accessible through a personal website, make one now and launch the website now. A lot of young folks and college students will get their internships through connections. When you are communicating with people who could potentially hire you, bring you on board, or connect you with somebody else who can do the same, you want to make sure that all of your messaging is perfect. I have had students I've mentored who've sent me sentences that they are messaging out to people for that first big internship. We're going through and fixing all the grammar. We're going through and making sure that the messaging is perfect. Think about it this way. In the process of getting an internship, what you're doing is you're trying to help yourself. If you're doing a bad job representing how you communicate, then employers, recruiters, managers, friends of those people will assume that when you are speaking and communicating on their behalf, that you're going to do just as badly or worse. So you have to make sure that communication for you is perfect. You have to make sure that when you're reaching out to a company or an organization or anyone who's about to hire you in any capacity, that you know everything about that company. Read about that company online, read about the roles within the company. If you don't understand something, you have to ask somebody else about it. When you have the opportunity to speak with the representative of that company or organization, and you're not able to clearly show that you've done your work, that you've done the right research, they're going to choose the person who has. You have to remember that even though you're throwing out 20 applications or 30 applications, there are hundreds of other people who want to be in that seat. You're competing with those folks. Let's say you're applying to be an intern at my company, Public. If you walked into an interview with me and you haven't signed up, you haven't tested out the product, you haven't thought about suggestions that could help improve the product experience for people of your demographic, if you haven't come up with some ideas or some understanding of the product in a personal way, one that isn't just a review of the marketing website, then I'm going to be left questioning how much you actually want to work with us. Oddly enough, most people who apply to any position that's available will probably not have signed up, will probably not have purchased a product, will probably not have used the services that are available through this company. Doing that will put you in the top 50% of any candidate pool. But it's an absolute must if you actually want to have the highest chance of getting that position. It's incredibly easy to find people who work at any given company. Just look on LinkedIn, look through the filters, find folks who have some semblance of connection to you. They could be somebody who knows somebody you know. They could be somebody who came from the same town as you. They could be somebody who's an alumni of your college. Whatever it is, having that connection, however tenuous, will help you connect with them initially. Go on LinkedIn, find people on social media, whoever's available, message them. Again, make sure the communication is clear and ask them a few simple questions about their work. Obviously, give them a little background of who you are, very short, concise sentences, and then ask them some basic questions or question about their work. Some of these employees, depending on the company, may get referral bonuses. If they're able to bring on a qualified candidate like yourself and you end up taking a job at their company, they might get a few $1,000s. So these folks at these types of companies are heavily incentivized to bring on talented, curious, hardworking people. The other reason why messaging employees is helpful is because when you actually get through that first step, when a company actually reaches back out to you and says, hey, let's schedule a call, or let's schedule a video call, or we'll have you in the office at some point. Once they do that, you have something to actually talk about. When they ask you what made you interested in the company, you can refer back to the communication that you had with the employee, even if it's on LinkedIn. They will get the impression that you care enough that you've spoken with somebody who works there. They're going to put you at the top of the pile because of your level of interest. If they reach out to you anyway, they think you're qualified, and you're going to have a chance to get to a final interview. If you end up getting a video interview, which many people are doing now first to screen, make sure that the video and the mic works. This should never happen, but sometimes there are candidates who, in a video interview, will only have the audio on. That is not what you want to do to present yourself in the best way. If something comes up and you really can't have a video interview, then let the interviewer know ahead of time. You don't want there to be any surprises for your interviewer. You can call a friend beforehand to make sure everything works. And be 5 minutes early to every single call or interaction. Always have some questions to ask your interviewer. There are templates and examples online of any type of question to ask. At some point down the line in any type of interview process, whether it's for an internship or a job, there's a discussion about compensation. I'll have a video about that later. But make sure that the first question you ask is not related to compensation. If that's the first question you ask, then the interviewer will assume that all you care about is the money. When you're interacting with anyone on video, when anyone takes the time to help you, always send a quick, brief follow-up email. When I receive them, of course, they can appear generic and kind of cookie cutter, but it shows me that you as a candidate understands the cadence of communicating correctly. It also has the effect of putting you at the forefront of the interviewer's mind or the connection's mind. The other side effect of this is if it's a recruiter you're talking to, recruiters jump from companies every year. If you're following up to somebody who helped connect you, they may have other connections in the future. Now you have an email thread that you can reply to in the future, even if it's years later, and you request something else. They'll refer back to the thread and remember, oh, this is a student I helped at XYZ time. They're very gracious after I helped them. Oh, what do they want now? Happy to help them again. Very easy to do. And it's always a good idea to thank the people who help you along the way. During your interview, you should get some sense of who your interviewer is, what type of person they are. If it's a casual conversation with a laid-back interviewer, then you have some idea of what else you could share with the interviewer. If the interview was very tense and it didn't seem like the interviewer was super excited to speak with you, then that can mean something else entirely. Either way, you can add additional information in your follow-up that can help improve your candidacy. For example, my company created this other product called Float. It's a product that allows you to use your phone in the shower or at the mirror at eye level. So let's say there's a college applicant who wants to work for Float. Maybe they have a very active TikTok channel with lots of followers and lots of engagement. Before the interview, this student may not be totally comfortable sharing something that delves deeper into their personal lives, like a TikTok. But during the interview, if the student gets a sense that I'm really fun, that I'm engaging, that I really love TikTok, they could add that in a follow-up email that will get me to think, oh, this student can clearly run our TikTok channel. Your strategy for applying to internships can change depending on the time of year and where recruiters are in the recruitment season. So be well aware of what other students are doing at any given time. And make sure to plan ahead, get your resume in line as quickly as possible, and have target companies listed out and ready to go so that you can apply early and apply broadly. One thing that can be extremely helpful if you have no experience is for you to find smaller businesses, regional businesses, businesses that could always use an extra hand, and reach out to them to have a more informal type of remote internship experience during the academic year. You can leverage that experience to get a bigger and better internship for the summer or for the next term. In this YouTube channel, I'm taking everything I've learned over the last 15 years, from college to national fellowships, to startups, to design work, to running businesses and launching new products, and I'm condensing it and sharing it with you. If you want to learn about any of this in greater detail, follow the channel. Thank you.